Hare Krishna. So we welcome all of you for this new course known as Discover Your Roots. I'd like to give a short introduction before we get into the main discussion. How we got to conceive this course. Actually, a couple of people met me and said, all these movies are coming. Which ones? Socially stimulating movies. And then they are challenging, they are asking questions to our children and to us. And somehow we don't have clear replies and answers and even refutations to the arguments. So maybe we should do something. We should educate our people, our own people, although we know here and there many things. But if we can get a overall complete picture of all the subjects, like the big jigsaw puzzle we have, then that will be nice. So with that intention, we began this conception and then started compiling various topics. And as I started accumulating topics and different subjects, it kept on increasing. And I was wondering where it is going to stop. So I thought, okay, initially we will have maybe 1 hour session, 2 hour session maybe 3 hour session. Then I thought maybe 2 days we may need. But the topics kept on increasing, and then finally I settled down to a 6 session course, 2 hour each. So then it has to have 2 weekends. You can't have Monday to Saturday, Monday to Sunday. It's not possible for everyone. So then I decided to divide it into 2 levels, basic and advanced. Not everyone may be interested in joining the entire discussion. So for those who want to have one level, then we can have the basic course. And those who are interested in even deeper topics, they can continue for the next session. So with that intention, we have designed this course. So today, tomorrow, we are going to go through the basic level. And the next weekend, 19th and 20th of August, we will have the advanced level. So in the basic level, we are going to discuss mainly 7 topics. To what extent I will be able to cover all 7, I am not sure. But I want to do justice to all 7. But at the same time, I don't want to hurry up. Just because I have compiled 7 topics and I have designed, I don't want to just rush through. If at all you feel I am going too fast, you can definitely stop me, request me to go slow, and ask some questions, relevant questions. Then we can give enough time to each topic. At the same time, it is important to cover all 7 also. So you keep that in mind whenever you have any queries, any comment you want to make, any discussion you want to do, elaboration on some topic you want to do. So let us have that also in the background, in the back of the mind, so that we can cover all 7 in these 2 days, today, tomorrow. And so today we have 6 to 8 time. 6 to 8, if 7 topics have to be divided in 6 hours, that means each topic is going to get less than an hour. And with added questions and discussions, so roughly maybe 45 minutes each section. And each section has definitely subtopics. So that's the whole overview. That's the pace we want to maintain. And let us see how it goes. So with that background, we'll begin. So it's called Discover Your Roots. We have several courses called Discover Yourself, Journey of Self-Discovery, where we talk about the Gita. But this we are talking about an overall picture of what exactly is sanatandharma. The term sanatan, as it indicates. Before this. The term sanatan indicates something that is eternal, that has no beginning, no end. That's what sanatan means. So We have inherited this sanatandharma from our ancestors millions of years ago, and that we are continuing. And the land of India is the land of sanatandharma. So what we have imbibed, what we have received as inheritance, that's what we want to understand in this course. So I have listed out a few aims which we hope to accomplish at the end of the course. So let me just show it to you. To educate ourselves about the universal and timeless nature of Vedic culture, which is known as Sanatan Dharma. In today's time, it is known as Hinduism. We will see what exactly the term is Hinduism a little later. To help us overcome any inferiority complex regarding our practices, beliefs, and traditions. To equip ourselves with proper answers and arguments when faced with questions and challenges concerning Vedic culture. And finally, to inspire us to adopt daily spiritual practices. So, the second one, especially, overcome any inferiority complex, you may not be having, but I have observed, and even when I was a youngster, a college student, when I was not into this philosophy and practices, I used to feel why we have certain practices which make us feel apologetic towards with other people. I have to apologize. We have this, this caste system, and then this so many gods and so many devas, devis, and devatas. But then there is some advantage, and so it's okay. Kind of admitting my defeat and inability to answer the questions. That's what I used to feel. And I observe these things in even today's youngsters, students, who are like bombarded with so many arguments, challenges. Why this? Your Hindu thing, your culture, your Shastra, your scripture. So many inconsistencies. And look at our thing. We have, everything is so logical, everything is scientific. So if at all we have, then we hope to overcome them by this discussion. Proper answers and arguments. So many challenges we face, right? About our practices, about our belief systems, about our gods, about our pujas and rituals. So some discussion on that. And finally, we want to start practicing them. Some element of our culture, if we are not doing it in our daily practice, then let us hope to adopt that practice. One of them, to whatever extent we can, whatever capacity can, whatever time we have, to that extent. No compulsion, no enforcement here. Okay. So is Vedic culture and Hinduism just a religion? It is a religion, definitely. Religion means we have a certain conception of theologies, we have gods, we have practices and rituals. So in that sense, yes, it is a religion. But then, it is not just a religion. It's not just a belief system. Oh, this is the God you have to worship. If you don't worship, you go to hell. If you don't accept this, then you will be punished eternally, forever. Not that kind of religion. If this is the definition of religion we have in mind, then this is not religion that we are practicing. But if you mean religion means everything, so many, our lifestyle, our belief system, our scriptures, our holy places. If that's what you mean by the word religion, then yes, then it is a religion. But then there's so much to it. Daily practices, our behavior, our dealings with each other, afterlife practices, preparation for the afterlife, what we carry from our previous life. It's all a big package. So it's, in that sense, it is more than a religion. So a short summary of what Sanatan Dharma is. It's a universal spiritual truth called Sanatan Dharma. We have one supreme being, one God, who is present in the heart of everyone as Paramatma. There is a law of karma, law of action and reaction, the law of cause and effect. That's a part of Sanatandharma which is unique to us, which is not discussed in other systems of religion, or even if they have, it is not in detail. But whereas in the Vedic culture, in Sanatana Dharma, there is an elaborate discussion of the law of karma, how every action is a reaction, and what kind of reactions you get. Good reactions, bad reactions. There is neutral karma, akarma, vikarma, sukarma. All these things are discussed in great detail. And finally, all this, the focus, the purpose behind practicing whatever we are practicing is to lead us to one ultimate goal, which is known as liberation or moksha, also called as mukti. So that with that goal in mind, everything has been designed. Now, out of the whole thing, which one will apply to me, which one will apply to someone else, that's a detailed discussion. Not everything is meant for everyone. Just like in a school or college, there's so many subjects, so many disciplines available to study. It's designed for a certain class of people, certain type of people, certain type of students. Not everyone has to study everything. Not everyone has to study every textbook. So similarly, Vedic literature means so many things, so many aspects. We have to choose what is applicable for us. Some things are common for everyone. Some things are specific to specific individuals. So there is a long-term goal for Sanatana Dharma, there is a short-term goal. Long-term goal, as we discussed, it's moksha, liberation. What exactly is liberation? Liberation means escaping from the repeated bondage that we are suffering in this world. Repeated suffering, repeated restrictions we go through in this life, in this world. Liberation from that. That's what we call the long-term goal. If any action that I am doing in my day-to-day activities, if it is going to bind me, then I have to start changing. I have to choose actions that will gradually disentangle me from my complicated mesh. Just like if a spider and an insect entering a spider's web, how it gets entangled, dhire dhire dhire, hai ki nahi? If it has to get liberated from the mesh, then someone has to help him. It has to be taught, oh, this, if you do this, you get more caught up. If you do this, then you can escape. Similarly, liberation, the long-term goal is that how my every action, thought and deed and word, how it is going to entangle me, whether it's going to entangle me or is going to liberate me, free me. And the short-term goal. So just because the long-term goal is defined doesn't mean I only worry about the long-term goal and not take care of my immediate goals. What are my immediate goals? I have to lead a happy life. I have to lead a disease-free life. I have to be prosperous. I need a good occupation, good earning, good livelihood. I need good relationships with each other, my family members, my friends and society. That is my immediate goals. If my pursuit of long-term goal is going to affect my daily roti, kapada, makan thing, then what's the point? This is my immediate needs. That also has to be taken care of. But not at the cost of each. Not one at the cost of the other. If I simply focus on my immediate goals, forgetting my long-term goal, then that is a waste of time. And if I simply focus on my long-term goal, not paying attention to my immediate goal, then that is impractical. How long can I simply focus on my long-term if I am not comfortable in my day-to-day life? If I don't have daily livelihood to eat my 3 meals a day, if I don't have good relationship, if I don't have proper accommodation, how can I focus on my long-term goal? So that is also important. So both are important. And Sanatana Dharma teaches us how to achieve that critical balance. So we find many cases, maybe individuals, or many groups of individuals, many community members, where that balance is missing. Then you focus something more on one of the other, one of the two, and then eventually over a period of generations, couple of generations, you see that shift clearly visible. So that balance is critical. Okay, so now we are living in an India. It is famous for their spiritual activities. We are known as spiritual country. Until a few decades ago, when our founder Acharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada went to the West, many people saw him as a first Indian, because there's not much immigration happening between India and America. Not people were traveling for studies or job. So India was basically known as a land of snake charmers, superstitions. That was a typical conception people had about India. Even now, to some extent, those who are not familiar with much of India, they may think, "Arey, India, so many superstitious practices, so many rituals, blind faith." So that conception is gradually transforming. And now what is India known for? Three things mainly. IT, especially in America. All software companies are headed by, major software companies are headed by Indians. Employees are Indians. If you go to Microsoft, you may start wondering, is it America or India? And so many, Google also. Many other companies have so many IT force, Indians. So India is known for IT export. IITs are famous. Cricket is quite well known. India is known as the land of cricket. World Cup is coming, IPL keeps coming. And Bollywood, the songs. Western movies, you hardly find songs in between. But in India, every movie has a song in between. So this is what India is known for currently, which is good, nothing bad about it. At least people are knowing, appreciating India, India and India's culture, which is a nice thing. But is it the real export thing of India? Is it really what India can offer to the world? Cricket and Bollywood and IT? Or is there something much more valuable that we have with us, that can be exported to the world and we can benefit and serve the world in a much better fashion? That's what we are missing. We have forgotten our rich inheritance, the rich tradition and culture, especially rich spiritual philosophy, which we haven't exported enough. Because of which, India is not really appreciated to its full glory. If we can market that nicely, then the real glory of India will come out. If you go to places like Rishikesh and Haridwar, these people, there are so many foreigners coming there. Even to our temple here, busloads of foreigners come from Europe and even America, Australia. They have this Bombay Darshan. Our temple is now included in the South Bombay Darshan thing. It's a spot. So people are looking for something spiritual, which is missing in the Western traditions. They have something, but the depth of spiritual tradition that we have in India is far superior to what they have in West. And if we don't recognize it within ourselves, and if we don't start exporting it, then we are not marketing India properly. And we are also missing it out, the rich benefits we can derive out of it. So knowledge of saints and scriptures. We have so many well-known saints that have come through the last thousands of years, who have taken birth in the land of India. So many religions are thriving in India. Holy rivers of India, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, just taking a bath in the holy river is said to give you liberation. Just one dip in the Ganga can award you liberation. That's what the scriptures say. Holy places, so many holy places scattered all over India. You go to any state of India, northeast, southeast, southwest, north, everywhere, some holy place you will find where either an avatar of the Lord, some god, devas, the Devis and Devatas have appeared, some great saints have appeared who sanctify the place and made the place glorious. So we are full of temples and holy places and holy rivers and holy mountains, which we are, which we are not appreciated. We have not recognized them, their glory. Therefore, we are not taking advantage of them. If we can understand their precious value, we will be thinking, I am living in the best possible place in the world. There can be no better place than India in the whole world. Our gods and goddesses, we will get into that in detail. So let us begin the first section. This was the introduction of our 7 sections. So many of these we will cover in these coming 2 days. Before we get in, anyone wants to say anything, ask anything about what we have discussed so far? Yeah. Correct. Correct. Yes. True. Yes. We'll discuss that. Sanskrit is a part of our discussion. Maybe tomorrow we'll discuss that. So section 1 is sacred texts. This is the biggest wealth we have in our country. What we have right now, whatever texts we have access to right now, is not even 1% of the actual collection. Because many of the texts have been either got extinct or have been destroyed by invaders. There were universities, libraries of books were there, which were burned down by invaders and which we have lost many of them. But then somehow we are recovering many of them. There are so many manuscripts which are kind of scattered in so many temples and libraries and universities, and maybe some people's homes. And we have a department within ISKCON called Bhaktivedanta Research Center, and there are many other organizations also who are trying to collect these manuscripts and trying to digitize them, translate them into all languages and make it accessible to all of us. But here we are going to look into the main texts which form the foundation of our culture. And there are texts elaborating on these texts. So let us begin. Here's an overview of the Vedic literature, the main Vedic body of literature, of which we have the Mahabharata as one part, Ramayana is there, the Bhagavad Gita, which is again a part of the Mahabharata. We have the Upanishads and Puranas, we have the Bhagavat Puran, and many others. We will be going through a brief discussion of these books that are shown here. What are these Vedic literature? What exactly do we mean? What exactly is Veda? Veda means to know. The word vid, Sanskrit, the language Sanskrit is based on root words. So there is a root word called vid, means to know. So Veda means that which is to be known, or that which is knowledge. So Vedic knowledge is eternal. As soon as there is a creation of the universe, creation of the material creation, knowledge has to be there of how to live in this world, how to operate in this world. Just like if someone manufactures a phone, the manual doesn't come 10 years after the phone is manufactured, right? If there is a camera, if there is a refrigerator, television, the manual is printed as soon as the product is ready. And as soon as the customer purchases the product, the manual is available on how to operate. Similarly, Vedic knowledge is a manual for this universe and for our own life. As soon as the universe is created, the manual has to be there. As soon as there is life in this world, manual has to be there. It is not that someone one fine day woke up and decided, okay, let me write some books because I'm getting some ideas and let us make that as a book of religion. No. How old is the creation? How old is the universe? Any idea? Millions of years old, billions of years old. That means the Vedic knowledge is that old. Not just 200 years old, 5,000 years old, not even 1 million years old. That's a very small period. As soon as the creation is there, as soon as God makes the creation, the knowledge has to be there. How to operate, how to live in this world. So in that sense, this knowledge is eternal. It has no beginning. The beginning is the beginning of creation. And the knowledge is going to remain existent until the creation exists. And our scriptures tell us the creation happens repeatedly. The creation is bhutva bhutva praliyate, Krishna says. So that sense Vedic knowledge is eternal. And it imparts knowledge of God and the Supreme. Theological knowledge. Knowledge about us. Knowledge about the universe. That's what knowledge it contains. Literature supporting Vedic conclusions is part of Vedic literature. So if there is original Vedic knowledge, any authentic commentary written on the original book is as good as Vedic knowledge. Sometimes technically we say this is the original Veda and this is something else. This is Purana, Upanishad. So this is the original. Sometimes people ask us, I want to read the original Rig Veda. Everything is part of Vedic knowledge. Not that something is better than and the later ones are inferior. The original ones are superior. No. Everything is elaborating on the original book. So in that sense, everything is important. Bhavishya Puran confirms Vedas, Vedic mantras and Vedic literature are all interconnected. Nothing is isolated. Not that one author is focusing on certain people, certain thing. All are interconnected. Supreme Lord's energy permeates the material world. Transcendental energy manifests. Shabda Brahma. It is called Shabda Brahma. Brahma means absolute truth. When the absolute truth is available in the form of sound, it is called Shabda Brahma. There is something called a Daru Brahma. Daru means wood. Jagannath, Lord Jagannath of Orissa, he is known as Daru Brahma. God in wood form. So, in this way, it was compiled by Vyas. Although the knowledge existed since time immemorial, since the beginning of creation, the knowledge was put into written form just recently. How old? 5,000 years ago. That's recent, what we call recent. So, it is said when this age is known as Kali Yuga, age of Kali. At the beginning of Kali Yuga, Vyasadeva, who is like an incarnation, literary incarnation of God, he could foresee this age is a really, really horrible age, where people will have short intelligence, short memory, short lifespan, overall disturbed and restless. For such people, we need to put this knowledge in written form. Which means, until then, knowledge is not in written form. It was all available in oral form. That is, people you would hear and remember. Can you imagine? That was a memory they had. You hear something once, photographic memory, it's there in your system. So the knowledge was transmitted since thousands of years ago, since the Satya Yuga period. Some guru, some teacher is instructing the disciple or the student hears it. That's it. It's his knowledge. Now it's his property. And he becomes a teacher. He or she becomes a teacher. Then they will transmit. Their students will learn. It's their property. Only at the beginning of this age that we are going through now, known as Kali Yuga, this knowledge had to be put in written form. Because people don't have that memory to retain whatever they have heard in their memory, their system. So when we have knowledge in book form, written form, then it is preserved. Unfortunately, nowadays we don't even read books. Right? Everything is on cloud. This presentation is on cloud. Everything is on digital form. A phone can have thousands of books, but how many books we actually read? We have collections of so many books, but then the patience and the ability and the capacity to absorb this information is reducing as age progresses. This is one interesting thing. Human individual capacity is inversely proportional to technological advancement. As technology improves day by day, our human individual capacities reduce. Now, whether we should call it advancement or something else, we can decide. Technology advancing, we call it advancement. But our memory, our intelligence, our attention span is all reducing. Okay. There is a hierarchy. The original Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sam, Athar Vedas, they are known as the original Vedas. The four Vedas, Chatur Veda. there are people known as Chaturvedis who have studied all 4 Vedas. Trivedi means someone who has studied 3 Vedas, mastered 3 Vedas. Vedas are divided into, it has 4 parts. Brahmanas, Aranyakas, Upanishads and Samhitas. Oh, that word is missing here. There is Samhita also. Samhita, Aranyaka, Brahmanas and Upanishads. These are the 4 parts of Vedic literature. Each Veda has these 4. And then the Vedas can also be divided into Shrutis and Smritis. Shruti means that which is heard. Sun liya and it's remembered. Smriti is something that is remembered. Shruti and Smriti. So the original 4 Vedas, they are called the Shrutis. That is that which is spoken directly by God. Like in the Srimad Bhagavatam we hear Lord Krishna instructing Lord Brahma. Brahma, when he woke up early morning, he had to create the universe. But he didn't know how to create. He needed knowledge. So he meditated for a long time, and then he got the knowledge revealed in his heart. Therefore Brahma prays, Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. He got that knowledge from Krishna, he prays. So that is called Shruti. He heard it and then he created the universe. And then there are Smritis, especially Puranas are known as Smritis, Puranic literature. So many Puranas we have are Vishnu Puran, Skanda Puran, Padma Puran. These Puranas contain stories. Stories elaborating on some Vedic teaching. Just like we give the example of a law book and a law journal. There are so many laws, Indian laws, article, so many laws are there. And then there are case studies that show how this specific law was applied in a certain case. Case studies. Similarly, the Vedic literatures talk about laws. If you do this, then this happens. This is how this functions. And examples, case studies. That is what you will find in Puranas. So Puranas are like stories. Oh, once upon a time there was a king and he did this and he went to a forest and he did this blunder and then he had to go through this. Or he did something good and then he got benefited like this. So through story it is easier to learn the lesson. If you simply tell this is what you have to do, this is the law, then we may not register it. But then exemplified through story, it becomes easier to learn. So that is Smritis. So Bhagavad Puran, all these Puranas are Smritis. Bhagavad Gita is an exception. It can be called a Shruti and a Smriti also. Shruti because it is spoken by Krishna himself. So in that sense, God is speaking directly. But because it is a part of Mahabharata, which is a story, it can be considered Smriti also. Okay. So these are, I'll provide you notes also, you can read it later. Next important book is Mahabharata. Mahabharata is the longest poem in the world. In the West, there is something called as Odyssey and Iliad, Greek literatures. They are like famous for this length. If you combine both, Mahabharata is bigger than that. It contains 110,000 verses. 110,000. It's huge. That's what Mahabharata is, which contains the story of the Pandavas and Kauravas mainly. And the Gita, Bhagavad Gita is inserted within the Bhishma Parva section of the Mahabharata. I want to show you some statistics which is done by one researcher known as Professor Raghavan. Just to show how Mahabharata is not a myth. Unfortunately, we hear this term mythology. Oh, mythological literatures, Ramayana and Mahabharata. Even your children tell that. It's all mythology, mythical stories. What is mythology? A collection of myths, fiction. Which means what? Krishna, Ram, Pandavas and all is all myth. Why would someone waste their entire life studying myth? I would rather study Harry Potter then. It's also myth. I can study Spider-Man, Superman and all those things. That is also myth. Can we compare Mahabharata with those literatures? Definitely not. It has existed, it has become the foundation of our Indian civilization, both Ramayana and Mahabharata, for thousands of years. If it is simply myth, how can a civilization stand on it? So we should stop using this term mythological. What we should call? History. Technically it is called itihas. Itihas means history. History. So let me show you some statistics that prove that Mahabharata is an actual event that happened and the characters involved are not fictional. The Pandavas, Kauravas, Dhritarashtra, Bhishma, they are not fictional characters. And of course Krishna is never fictional. So there is a timeline given by this Professor Raghavan. September 26, 3067 BC, approximately 5000 years ago, Krishna goes on a peace mission to Hastinapur to prevent the war. You know the story, right? The war was about to happen, but Krishna said, let me try one last attempt to avoid this unnecessary war. He goes on a peace mission on this date. 28th of September, Krishna reaches Hastinapur. His peace mission fails. And then the war is declared. September 29th, there is a lunar eclipse. October 8th, Krishna rides with Karna, trying to convince Karna, informs him, look, you are actually Yudhishthira's elder brother, Kunti's son. So maybe you can change your mind, whom to fight with. Of course, Karna doesn't agree. That's another story. October 14th, there is a solar eclipse. November 22nd, the war begins. 18-day war begins at Kurukshetra. December 8th is the 14th day of the war. That day, the war actually enters into late night. Usually, the war would end at sunset. But on that day, they broke all principles. The war continued till late evening, till beyond midnight. And then the war stopped for the day, for that particular day. December 12th, Lord Balaram comes there, who had gone on a pilgrimage. He comes there, and that's the last day of the war. There is a battle about to happen between Duryodhana and Bhima. And Balaram is like shocked. He tries to stop, but then he fails, and then he returns. January 13th, winter solstice. January 17th, the passing away of Bhishma, who was lying on a bed of arrows. You know the story, right? Arjun fought with him and he lying on a Sharashayya. Few years later, 3031 BC, Lord Krishna departed. Disappearance of Lord Krishna. 3000 BC, Vedavyas composed the main Vedic text. He compiled the Vedic literatures into written form. 1900 BC, much later, the drying up of Saraswati river. So Saraswati was once upon a time an active river like Ganga, Yamuna. Then for some reason, Saraswati dried up. But it's still there actually underground. If you go to Badrinath, you will see the origin of Saraswati. Small body of water is there. And you can actually see Saraswati disappearing and going inside the earth and then gone forever. And then they say it comes to Prayag, Triveni Sangam. And that's called the Triveni. Although we don't see Saraswati directly, we see only Ganga and Yamuna. But Saraswati is said to come there, the Sangam. And therefore it's a very holy spot. So this is a timeline. There's a nice video by, I forget his name. I have the link, I'll show you, where he shows all the archaeological evidence of Dwarka's remains. And all these things are taken from that. Okay, so therefore, what is the message? Mahabharata is not a myth. It's not a mythological literature. Similarly, Ramayana also. Ramayana has 24,000 verses. Mahabharata has 110,000. Written by Valmiki during Lord Ramchandra's time. Ramayana, Lord Ram's story is there. How the Ram Ravan battle happened. How Sita was kidnapped. So many, even Mahabharata and Ramayana both, you will find so many anecdotes, so many small little stories. Stories of Nala Damayanti. So when Pandavas were in the Vanvas, 12-year Vanvas, all these sages would come. Markandeya Rishi, Narad Muni, Vedavyas, and they would inspire them. Don't worry, this is just a temporary phase. Very soon you will regain your kingdom. All your enemies will be destroyed. And they would narrate stories to inspire them. How this so-and-so king, once upon a time, he went through a similar problem. And then someone was attacking them, someone was conspiring against them. But eventually, they came out victorious. So similarly, don't worry. Yudhishthir, Arjuna, Pandavas, don't worry. So all these small little stories are inserted into the main text. The main storyline is Pandavas and Kauravas. But in the story, you will find the small little stories. And so many lessons, wisdom lessons. Like in the Mahabharata, you have the Yaksha Prashna. One time, all five Pandavas fell unconscious when they tried to drink some water from a pond. That time, one Yaksha, who was actually Yamaraj, disguised, he asked so many questions to Yudhishthir. And that conversation between Yudhishthir and Yaksha is so classic conversation. It's a pakka management lesson. How to rule a kingdom, how to deal with people, how to maintain relations. So many management lessons you can learn out of it. And so many stories. Similarly in Ramayana, such treasure house of wisdom. If we can teach these literatures to our children, within 25 years the face of India will change. All the malpractices happening, corruption happening, abuses, terrorism, all this that we are seeing now, everything can be changed by one generation of proper education. But because we have ignored and not teaching these literatures to our school children, nor did we didn't learn. You see what's happening. So this is Ramayana. Ramchandra's incarnation is described. Lord Ram is avatar of Vishnu directly. And Lord Ram has such a tremendous impact. Nowadays, unfortunately, all these movies are showing Hanuman, Raman, such. They have made a mockery out of the whole thing. Very unfortunate. It has fascinated generations, influenced Indian subcontinent, Southeast Asian countries. Big impact. Ramayana has had a big impact. There is a section in the end, tomorrow we'll see, called Vedic Culture's Global Impact. How you find, even now, in Brazil, in Greece and Denmark, such far out countries, you find still archaeological evidence of some Hanuman deity, Ganesh deity, Krishna deity. How? That means at one point of time, they were being worshipped there. These temples existed there. Right? So Ramayana especially has had a tremendous impact in India and the various parts of the world. Tulsidas Ramcharitmanas had such an impact. Even now you see, right? Hanuman Chalisa is being sung so nicely. If you go to North India, Ramcharitmanas is like people know by heart many of those verses. So dating Lord Ram, this is an interesting fact which you may really like it. So Lord Ram, what is dating? When did he appear? So it is said he appeared in Treta Yuga. But which Treta Yuga? It's a cycle. Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali, it's a cycle of yugas. Just like we have months, January to December, then again January. Similarly, these yugas rotate in cycles. It is said that we are in the 28th cycle of the 4 yugas of this Manvantara period. We'll see this time scale in the next session, in the advanced section. But there is something called as cycles. So in this period of Lord Brahma's day, we are in the 28th cycle. Lord Ram appeared in the Treta Yuga of the 24th cycle. This is what the scriptures tell us. And there is an archaeological evidence supporting this, which is quite interesting. So our modern archaeologists divide the Earth's period, history, into chunks of million years. 20 million years old is known as certain period. Before 50 million years is known as 50 million old is known as certain period. In this way they are divided. So based on their research, they said somewhere between 15 million to 20 million years ago, there was something known as 4 tusk wale elephants. Elephants with 4 tusks existed on Earth in this period, 15 to 20 million years ago. But then they became extinct after a few million years. Now Ramayana, if you calculate this 24th Treta Yuga, it comes to 18 million years old. And there's a description in Ramayana about elephants with 4 tusks. Are you getting the point? So Ramayana talks about elephants with 4 tusks, and based on this calculation of scripture to the 24th Treta Yuga thing, you go back, age of Kali multiplied by 4, age of 4 yugas multiplied by 3, and go to Treta Yuga of 24th. If you actually calculate mathematically, then it comes to approximately 18 million, which is matching with the modern archaeological evidence. That means Lord Ram existed 18 million years ago, which is, the Ramayana is 18 million years old. Mahabharata is 5,000 years old. Look at the difference. 18 million years old likha hua book has an impact now. Can you believe the extent of the influence of Ramayana? So Valmiki's Ramayana, the 4 tusked elephants. Okay, next Upanishads. What are the Upanishads? They are, how to call it? They are like elaboration of universal truths simplified a little more than the original Vedas. So it talks about how a living entity can achieve the ultimate goal. And there are several Upanishads discussing this. We'll see a look at these. Okay, collection of 108 philosophical dissertations. All these names are there. 11 prominent Upanishads, including Isha Upanishad, Kena Upanishad, Katha Upanishad. What is Upanishad? Upanishad means to sit near a teacher and attentively listen to the teacher. Upa means near. Shat, बैठ जाओ. And need, determination के साथ, attention के साथ सुनो. That's what Upanishad means. It will eradicate all kinds of false misconceptions we may have about life and life in general. It discusses the nature of the absolute truth. Upanishad means sit near the teacher. Students absorb teaching for practical application, which means out of respect and humility. If you want to learn from a teacher, you have to have humility, submission. So that's what the Upanishads talk about. And there are 108 Upanishads. There are mainly 18 Upanishads, out of which the first one called the Isha Upanishad, that is very important. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad is there. Kena Upanishad. Kena. By what? The questions are all questions. Prashna Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad. It's all very important ones. So that is Upanishads. Then the Puranas. What are these? They are historical texts, as I said in the beginning. They contain stories mainly. Stories from earth and beyond, not just earth. हमारे पृथ्वी के stories नहीं. Universal stories. If you read the Bhagavad Purana, I'll come to that later. Puranic stories range from events happening all over the universe. By the way, life is not restricted to earth. According to our scriptures, life is all pervading all over the universe. There are higher planetary systems, middle planetary systems. So we are not loners here. So story is happening there. Some lessons that we can learn from there. There are the Devatas, Indra, headed by Indra. They have their own location within the universe. Lower planetary systems there. Some excellent event that has happened, some wonderful lesson that can be taken out of it. That's what is presented in the Puranas. Again, they are not myths, not mythology. Historical. Purana बोलते हैं हिंदी में हम लोग पुराना है, पुराण है. Ancient literatures. Interestingly, they are not chronological. So if you try to date them, we will get confused. That's what happens with modern historians. They try to date this event. This story comes and then this Matsya happened and then Kurma and then Narsimha, and then they find something which is predating the Matsya avatar. And then they get confused. And what do they conclude? It's all myth. Because they are unable to date it, their conclusion is it's all mythology. But they are not chronological in the first place. The focus of Puranas is not chronology, not history. The focus of Puranas is lessons. If it has to be history, then it will be called Itihas, which is what? Ramayana and Mahabharata. They are Itihas. They are chronological. Birth of Shantanu, birth of Bhishma, the birth of the Dhritarashtra and Pandu, birth of the 5 Pandavas and 100 Kauravas. That is historical. Even timeline, there is a specific timeline. Their marriage, their children, war, everything there is a historical time dated it. Whereas Puranas have no historical chronological sequence. The lesson is the important thing there. That's the difference between Puranas and Itihasas. All these Puranas and the number of verses in each Puran. Look at the size of each Puran. Thousands of verses. The biggest, I think, is Skanda Puran. 81,000. We have a joke here. Whenever you don't know the reference, you say it is some Skanda Puran. You quote something, कहाँ से आया? Skanda Puran. Who is going to search the 81,000 verse? इतना बड़ा book कौन ढूंढने वाला है? If you tell, say, Bhagavad Puran, then people can find out, अरे भागवत में नहीं है ये, झूठ बोल रहा है. Skanda Puran, nobody is going to search. So that's the size. If you add them up, I don't know what is the total number of verses. It runs into several lakhs. So Bhagavad Puran, among the Upanishads, one Upanishad stands out. Guess what? Any guesses? Gita Upanishad. Gita is considered Upanishad. Although it's not in the list of 18 Upanishads, but Gita is considered Upanishad. Upanishadic knowledge. There is no stories in Gita. It's instruction. It's a dialogue, right? Between Arjuna and Krishna. And there are instructions. It's a knowledge imparted. Krishna is not narrating some story from ancient history. So Gita Upanishad stands out special. If at all we want to learn the entire essence of all Upanishads, better learn the Gita. If we have time, you can read all these. If you have the time and the patience, definitely it's a good idea to read all these. But if you don't have enough time, let us read the Gita, which is the essence of Sarvo Panishado Gavo Dogdha Gopal Nandanaha. Partho Vatsa Sudhir Bhokta Dugdham Gitamratam Mahat. Shankaracharya is saying this. Gita is the essence of all, Sarvo Panishado, all Upanishads ka essence. And similarly, if we can read all the Puranas, that's definitely good, if you have access to them. But if we don't have time to read all these, we have to read one Puran. Which is that? The Bhagavat Puran, which is like the cream of all Puranic literatures. We'll see Bhagavat and Gita a little later. Gita. How many of you have a copy of Gita here? How many of you have attempted to study the Gita? Good number. We encourage you to study the Gita as early as possible if you have not started. If you have started but not finished, please try to study the whole text. And it's not going to end. We can keep on reading it repeatedly, day after day. So the Gita is a jewel of India's spiritual wisdom, a globally acclaimed literature. It's found within the Mahabharata, with Lord Krishna speaking its concise 700 verses to devoted Arjuna. The Gita offers insights into self-realization, yoga, karma, and humanity's connection with both the world and the divine. These are the number of verses in the Gita. Total 700. I have not mentioned the total here. Majority of the Gita verses spoken by Krishna, 574. Next, Arjun. Few verses spoken by Sanjay. And one and only one verse, the first one, spoken by Dhritarashtra. So that's how the verses appear here. This is an interesting thing. Gita is 5,000 years old as Mahabharata. Actually, Gita is even more old. In the Gita, Krishna says, I spoke this knowledge to sun god. Ivam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam. So yeah, Vivaswan, he spoke millions of years old. But then the latest version of the Gita that we have is 5,000 years old. 700 verses in 18 chapters. There are 5 topics, 3 yoga paths described, and 1 goal. That's the Gita. So this diagram is an interesting thing. Just to give a summary of what the Gita is. So the Gita is mainly 5 topics. Supreme Ishvara is the main topic. One topic discussed. Who is God? Next, Prakriti, the world we are living in. What is this universe? What is the nature of this universe? What is the purpose of the universe? Why this world is created? Not in the technical details of the universe, but the purpose. The purpose why the universe is created and why we, the Atmas, are stuck up here. So Atma ka nature is described. Who are we essentially? To the core. What is my nature? Am I just a bunch of chemicals grouped together and known as a human body? Or am I something beyond the matter, non-material, transcendental? What is that Atma? Na. Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya. Nainam chindanti shastrani. Krishna devotes 20 exclusive verses in the second chapter of the Gita to describe what Atma is and what Atma is not. The nature of the Atma. So that's Atma. Then, what is the connection between God and the world? The world has a beginning and end, which is controlled by time. Time, as soon as the world is created, the time clock starts. And the universe will end. When I say world, I mean the universe, the entire material creation. The universe will end when the time clock stops. And that duration, beginning of the universe till the end of the universe, is the lifetime of Lord Brahma. Brahma lives for the duration of the universe. Brahma creates the universe. God is ultimately created. Brahma is the agent who creates the universe, the engineer of the universe. And when everything has to be wound up, destroyed, that's the end of Brahma's life. And of course, there are several partial destructions happening of the universe. But ultimately, everything is controlled by time. Everything is controlled by time. In the Gita, Krishna says, Kalosmi loka kshayakrit pravruddho. Time, the nature of time is to destroy. Gradually, imperceptibly, things will decay. Right? This thing, this phone, this building, our human body, everything is decaying with time. We may not notice it, but it's decaying. Then, what are these people doing here? We the souls, what are we doing here in this Prakriti? We are busy. Busy doing so many activities. You ask anyone, please attend the Gita course. What are they going to say? I have no time, I'm too busy. Ghar ka kaam, padhai and job and society and so many things, so busy. Right? What exactly are they busy with? Their so-called busyness, is it helpful to them or harmful to them? Are we busy doing the right thing or doing some destructive thing? That's called karma. Something they are doing. God knows what they are doing, but something they are doing. What is the right karma so that they can be elevated? Krishna is talking about that. Karma. Do that karma which will liberate you, not entangle you. Don't get entangled in this chakkar. Get liberated. That's the purpose of human life. That's why you have been put here, so that you learn how to disentangle yourself. And so 5 topics covered: God, Prakriti, Atma, Kal, Karma. This is the main thing. Gita is one of the Yoga Sutra, yoga text, the fundamental yoga text. Not the yoga text that will teach you asanas and pranayam, not that. The essence of yoga, which is the divine connection between this guy and this person. The Jiva and the Ishwar, there's a divine relationship which we have forgotten for some reason. How we forgot, why we forgot, that's a different topic of discussion. But we have to revive this relation. And any process that helps us revive this connection is yoga. Therefore, if you see, every chapter of Gita is known as yoga. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Bhakti Yogo Nama Dvadasho Dhyaya Vibhuti Yogo Nama Dashamo Dhyaya Purushottama Yogo Nama. Which one? Panchadasho Dhyaya. Every chapter is yoga. Karma Yoga is 3rd chapter. Jnana Yoga is 4th chapter. Ashtanga Yoga is 6th chapter. But again, Krishna, what we need to remember is, Krishna doesn't go into the technical details. He connects everything so that this purpose is fulfilled. The connection between the Jiva and the Lord is facilitated. That's the Gita. And if we can just make Gita as our primary fundamental text of our life, we will see amazing transformations. And if you can combine it with the study of Mahabharata, that's the best. Mahabharata, Gita go hand in hand. Story and philosophy combined. But Gita is a standalone book also. Without the story also we can understand. But the context of Mahabharata helps if you want to appreciate the message of the Gita. Okay, so that's the Gita. Next, let us go to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Gita combined with Bhagavatam is, there can be no better combination. There's a nice verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Idam Bhagavatam nama Puranam Brahma Sammitam Uttama Shloka Rahitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishihi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swastyanam Mahat. Bhagavatam itself appreciating the Bhagavatam, glorifying the Bhagavatam. The author is telling the importance of studying the Bhagavatam. Is a literary incarnation of God, is compiled by Vyasadeva, an incarnation of God. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people, and it is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. So where Gita gives a philosophical foundation, the Bhagavatam adds far more details to what Krishna is teaching in the Gita. The relation, we saw in the earlier slide, the relation, right, connection between devotee and God, the Jiva and God. How exactly the relation blossoms, that is described in the Bhagavatam. Various levels of devotees having various levels of interactions and relationship with God. Like for example, the story of Prahlad. You know the story of Prahlad, right? How the Lord protected him in all difficulties, in the greatest calamities. He was attempted to be killed in so many ways. But every time Lord Vishnu protects him. Ultimately he comes in the form of Narsingadeva and kills Hiranyakashipu, Prahlad's father, demonic father. Then for Dhruva's story is there. How Dhruva was determined to obtain a position. How the Lord Vishnu appeared before him and blessed him. Ajamil's story, Prithu Maharaja's story, Pandava's story, Draupadi's story, Bhishma Kunti's story. All these stories describe various intimacy between Krishna and his devotees, between Lord Vishnu and his devotees. How the relationship takes various flavors and blossoms into such a beautiful relationship. That's what the Bhagavatam describes. It's a really, really exciting read. Every day in our temple, or in all ISKCON temples, we have 1 hour dedicated discussing the Bhagavatam every morning, 365 days in a year. So that's the Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, any thoughts, any questions until now? Yes. Correct. Yeah, it is not humanly possible because he was not human. He is God. He is a literary incarnation of God. If God can empower someone with his potency, with his Shakti, then that person can do. He is going to Brahma and saying? Yes, like I need a writer for I have created a poem. Like I was writing the starting sentence is there. Last when I goes to Brahma and says like I have created a poem and I need a writer. Can you suggest me some writer? Ganesh. Yeah. So actually, Vyasadeva didn't actually manually write. That was done actually by Ganesh. Lord Ganesh helped him. So Vedavyas were dictating and Ganesh did. So see, even though someone is an incarnation, avatar directly, God doesn't enjoy doing everything on his own. Let us take another example. Lord Ram building the bridge to cross the Indian Ocean. Did he really need to build a bridge? If he's avatar, he could have directly gone, right? Correct. Okay, I'm not aware of this particular instance, but I can check and let you know. But the point is, avatars don't do everything on their own. They involve people, they form a team, and they may take the main role, but they involve many people. Why he went to Brahma, I'm not very sure about this particular instance that you are referring to, but I can check and let you know. Yeah, tell me. Yeah. This is a typical thing because we have not experienced any such thing right now. Therefore, we tend to think that anything beyond our experience is either an exaggeration or maybe mythology, fictional. As I said in the beginning, individual human powers are reducing, although technology is advancing. Our ability to chant proper mantras, our ability to retain memory, our ability to analyze things, overall, beginning with as age progresses, as time progresses, these individual human faculties suffer, they diminish. So what individual human capacity existed 5,000 years ago, or even a million years ago, it's far more than what we have right now. So if memories are far sharper than what we have now. So similarly, the ability to even physically, the physical height and build is far better than what we have now. In fact, it is said that at the end of the age, Kali Yuga, humans will be like dwarfs, far smaller, and the age will be around 2030. That will be the age limit. The lifestyle habits and all because of that. So my point is, people of the ancient ages were physically, mentally, emotionally were far superior to current human beings, current brand of human beings. So and moreover they had the ability to, they had tapobal, tapasya gabal. Their lifestyle was more regulated, disciplined, because of which they had far greater powers than that we have. So when they chant particular mantras and release arrows, they actually could do that. It is nothing exaggeration. One arrow, and they're not like, see what we see in B.R. Chopra's and other Mahabharata serial, don't go by that. That could be a kind of mockery. But actually they were like powerful arrows. Like there is an instance of how Ashwathama released a Brahmastra to kill a child within the womb, Uttara's womb, who was known as Parikshit, Abhimanyu's son. He attempted to kill with the Brahmastra, which means the weapon was so precise, it could enter the womb, not kill the mother, but kill the child inside. So, yeah, guided missile. That's how precise it was. Yeah, 1 second. So therefore, these things are not exaggerations because we have not tuned into that thing, and we have heard it from not so reliable sources. Therefore, we may think, "Arey, sach mein ho sakta hai kya?" That's the mentality we have. Yes, madam.
Description of a Maha weapon, like probably called a Brahmastra, which had the light of 1,000 suns, which was how they described the bomb when it was fired. Correct, so, but the Indian scholars are saying we were not a demonic consciousness. This kind of weapon comes from a very selfish and a demonic consciousness. So it's the weapon may be similar, but the consciousness was different.
Okay, nice. Yeah. Yes, someone had raised your hand.
Krishna Prabhuji. So there are many questions popping up. To continue with the Shastras, the weapons, Brahmastras. So are those weapons physical in nature, or they were, kind of, yeah.
Both. It was both. Physical arrows were also there, used. Physical swords, arrows, weapons are also used. But they were driven by mantras. It's not just sheer physical strength se nahi ja raha hai wo. Mantras are driving.
Yeah.
And the potency of the mantra depends on the person who has practiced those austerities in his life and his ability to chant the right pronunciation. That's what drives these weapons.
So it is said that the Germans are fascinated by Indian texts, and then they have derived to various conclusions. Yes, Germans. And if we see back in the history, German and the Nazi armies, Nazis, they came to India to learn Indian texts, and then to learn about the nuclear weapons and how it was used in back then. So isn't it possible that Shastras tell about accumulation, like assembling this particular chemical, this particular thing, and then making a weapon? But chanting a verse doesn't create a weapon. Is it technically possible? A verse can tell you about the assembling of a particular, there is particular...
I got your point. So there's a slight difference between a verse and a mantra. Verse is like Gita verse, slokas. Verse is like slokas, which is like some teaching, some information available. Mantras are specific combination of sound and syllables that contains immense power. That's a mantra.
It requires siddhi.
It requires siddhi. It requires practice also. Yeah. It's not just you read out from a textbook and then recite the mantra and then you get the benefit. That doesn't happen like that. Mantras are trained. The student has to undergo a severe, rigorous training to gain the ability to chant the right mantras at the right time and derive the right benefit. Mantras are different. They are not like slokas. Yeah. So Brahmastra, Narayanastra, Pashupatastra. So Arjun had to perform severe tapasya and get the darshan of Lord Shiva, Shankarji, and then he got the Pashupatastra. ऐसा नहीं कहीं से उठा के मंत्र पढ़ लिया और मिल गया उसको. शिवजी ने आशीर्वाद दिया, then he got the Pashupatastra.
So it is said that Arjuna had to loiter around various parts of the world, like when Krishna told him to go towards Himalayas and way beyond there, you will get weapons. So isn't it possible he might have traveled somewhere in Eurasia, Europe and Asian regions to get the knowledge of high-tech weapons or something like that? But because there are skepticals who give... Now, coming back to another question, let us just keep aside this question. We have seen the Puranas and this many number of Puranas and this many number of Upanishads, and you said there are several lakhs of verses in each of Puranas. Now, isn't it possible that because in ancient times people used to inscribe it on stone with various figures, and there were no papers and things like that in ancient times, but even if we see in Vedic culture, verses are imparted from generation to generation by way of oral communication. So even a single verse has not distorted, and it can be possible, because this is not my question, I'm not doubting, but skeptics put forward this, people who from other religion, who are like atheists as well. So they put forward this sort of doubting questions, that isn't it possible that your culture and your religion might states that this many number of verses which has been passed down from generation to generation might have distorted something, or people might have created their own verses and imparted later on?
Good point. It's a good point. Quite possible that what you have said. Distortion, especially when there's nothing in written form, no digital form. Oral tradition, उसने बराबर से सुन लिया कि नहीं, वापस transmit किया कि नहीं, that possibilities always arise, and distortion can happen. Miraculously, oral tradition, I don't remember the articles. Recently I read one. Modern scientists are saying, in fact, to ensure there is no distortion, the best way of knowledge transmission is oral. I don't have the details. He has done some research. But anyway, the point is, the knowledge usually was not distorted. Because people had right intentions, right motives, pure character, so they would actually hear properly, had sharp memory, so they would retain it properly, and then they would transmit it. So transmission usually wouldn't have distortions. But lately, unfortunately, distortions have happened. In fact, we can't rely on many of the versions of scriptures available today, except for two. Again, coming to the main two, the Gita and the Bhagavad Puran have been untampered with. These two are actually available as it is. Whereas, many of the scriptures have been distorted. The Puranic literatures, we can't exactly have 100% guarantee that they are the originals. Although majority, 95, 99% could be original, some verses could have been distorted. In fact, the Mahabharata, there are Mahabharata, our Acharya, Madhvacharya says, one great Acharya from South India, he says Mahabharata, what we have today, is to a great extent distorted. Although the main story is there, Pandava Kaurava story is all there, but some internal, in between the Chota Mota stories, some lessons, there is a possibility that they could have been distorted. So, second section, we will discuss sacred places, holy places of India holding great spiritual significance. Let us take the best advantage of all these places. So, we'll have an overview of temples and architecture, the various Shakti Peeth, Jyotirlingas, some important places like Haridwar, Rishikesh, the Char Dhams. Some of you may have already visited all these places, many of these places. Any of you visited Char Dhams? Upar wale, Himalaya wale Char Dham. हो गया कहीं? Badrinath, Kedarnath. Okay, nice. Haridwar you have gone. Okay. Rishikesh. Yeah. Okay, so let us have a quick overview with whatever time we have left. These are also places we will have a discussion. Badrinath. So Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, Yamunotri. These four are known as Char Dham of the Himalayas. There are two types of Char Dham. One is the Himalayan Char Dham and All India wala Char Dham. All India wale Char Dham mein which are the four? North wale, Badrinath, West, Dwarka, South, Rameshwaram, and East, Jagannath Puri. So these four are also known as Char Dham. Whereas the Himalayan Char Dham is Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, Yamunotri. So Badrinath, it is the abode of Nara Narayan Rishi, a great, an avatar of Lord Vishnu, Nara and Narayan. The same Nara Narayan came as Krishna and Arjun. So they keep coming regularly. Srimad Bhagavatam mentions visits to Badrinath even 5,000 years ago. Uddhava had visited. But Uddhava is one of the close associates of Krishna in Dwarka, very close friend. Krishna instructed him. After Krishna's departure, Uddhava was sent there for a purpose. One of the 8 self-manifested holy tirthas in India. What is self-manifested? Swayambhu. No human being is installing it. It is either self-manifested or even some devatas come and install. Even when devatas install, it's called Swayambhu oftentimes. So Badrinath, the deity of Badrinath is Swayambhu. There are many such Swayambhu deities in India. Skanda Puran hails Badrinath as a unique and unparalleled sacred shrine. Gautam Rishi, Kapila, Kashyapa are believed to have visited, with Shankaracharya establishing a temple. Shankaracharya played a very crucial role in making Badrinath a very important place. Alaknanda river flows there. This is not mentioned here. There is a place called Vyas Gufa, where we are talking about Ganesh ji. Vyas Dev dictated the Mahabharata to Ganesh at that spot. That place is still there. So Vyasadeva wanted to compile these literatures and he wanted someone to write. He said, I can dictate, but I need a help. Who can be a scribe? So Brahmaji suggested, Ganesh is the best person who can assist you. Take the help of Ganesh, your job will be perfect. So both sat. So Ganesh put a condition. If you want me to write, you have to speak non-stop. Don't waste time thinking and this and that. You write, and if you stop, then I will stop permanently. So Vyasadeva said, okay, good condition, but then I also have a condition. if you have to write anything, you have to understand and then write. Don't write blindly, mechanically. Like we do, students do. Homework kaise assignment copy karte, वैसा नहीं. You have to understand it properly, assimilate the knowledge and then write. So that's how the dictation began. Vyasdev would dictate, Ganeshji would write. And whenever Vyasdev felt, I need some time to deliberate on certain things, he would insert something known as Kuta Shloka. Kuta Shloka is cryptic verses. थोड़ा घुमा फिरा के श्लोका. So Ganesh ji would take time. अरे ये क्या है? Googly आ गया अचानक. And he would take time. That time he would purchase. Vyasdev would purchase for thinking about the next dozen verses maybe. And this way the dictation continued and the task was accomplished. So there are about, I think, approximately 8,000 to 9,000 Kuta shlokas in Mahabharata. Out of the total? No, 110,000. 8,800 I think are Kuta shlokas. Cryptic verses. If you take the literal meaning of the verse, कुछ अलग ही meaning, but actual meaning is totally something different. Okay. Despite neglect, last point. Despite neglect during Buddhism, Shankaracharya reinstalled the deity after recovering it from Narad Kund. There is Narad Kund in Badrinath. So deity was hidden or maybe lost there. Shankaracharya recovered it and he installed it. So Shankaracharya was the one who traveled all over India, length and breadth of India, and installed these 4 dhams, north, south, east, west, wala 4 dham. Shankaracharya was the one who made it very important. So Shankaracharya played a crucial role. We have a section in the advanced section called Spiritual Strategies for the Age of Iron, where we go into detail of how each Acharya, beginning with Shankaracharya until Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu latest 500 years ago, how so many Acharyas played crucial roles in reviving India's spiritual culture. Kedarnath, one of the 12 Jyotirlingas located on the Mandakini river between Gangotri and Badrinath. So these 4 are 4 mountain peaks. Actually the geographical distance may be very small between Badrinath, Kedarnath, Gangotri, Yamunotri, but you can't directly fly, right? You have to go down the mountain peak and then again climb another mountain peak. So that takes 7, 8 hours, 10 hours, 14 hours sometimes. And in the chilling cold, snowy weather. 42 kilometers the aerial distance from Badrinath, but larger by road and walk. Over 10,000 pilgrims visit annually, especially after the BJP government renovated it after the cloudburst that happened 10 years ago. Now it's a really nice place. Believed to have been originally built by the Pandavas, reconstructed by Shankaracharya. Again, Shankaracharya's crucial role. Okay, there is a story from the Srimad Bhagavatam. Usha and Aniruddha marriage happened at Kedarnath. Aniruddha happened to be the grandson of Krishna in Dwarka. Krishna's wife Rukmini had a son Pradyumna. His son was Aniruddha. His marriage with Usha happened in Kedarnath. It's a nice place. If you can visit, really nice. Lord Shiva, very merciful form of Shivji. Gangotri, origin of Ganga Devi from the glaciers. At least that's what we externally see. But Ganga is said to be originating from the higher planetary systems. Vaman Dev, the incarnation of Vaman Dev, Bali Maharaj Wale, he cracked open the coverings of the universe and then came out Ganga from the higher planet, from the coverings of the universe, which came down to the heavenly planets, higher planets. From heavenly planets, it came down to earth. There's a story of King Bhagirath, who did a lot of tapasya to please, requesting Ganga Devi to come. So finally Ganga agreed, I will come. Because his forefathers were suffering certain reactions, some curse. So to deliver them, he had to bring down Ganga to earth. So he prayed to Ganga, finally Ganga agreed. But Ganga said, the earth cannot bear my weight. Some powerful person has to hold me. So who can hold this? There's only one person who can hold this, Shivji. So he again did tapasya, praying to Lord Shiva, please come. So it took some time. Shivji came. I agree. I will hold Ganga. So Ganga finally came, hit Shivji and then disappeared. Shivji ke jata ke andar hi gayab. Shivji absorbed the whole thing. And then, Ganga kahan hai? Itna mehnat se bulaya maine. Again praying to Shivji, please release Ganga. finally he released Ganga, and Ganga started flowing. But then he had to show the way, where, in which direction to go. So he was flowing ahead, Ganga was following behind, and finally he did a blunder. He came across an ashram of a sage known as Jannu Muni. So he directed the Ganga in such a way that Ganga flooded the ashram only. Bichara uska ashram hi chala gaya, along with the cottage. He got really upset. Said, I'll show you. He drank the Ganga. And Bhagir is wondering, where is Ganga? I'm going and Ganga is missing. Again, he had to beg, plead, pray to the Muni, Janu Muni, requesting, please release Ganga. My forefathers are waiting there. They have to be liberated. So finally, Janu Muni released, being pleased by Bhagirath's prayers. And finally, Ganga entered and spread over the ashes, and immediately they were delivered. The sages, Sagar Maharaj ke sons, 60,000 sages, 60,000 sons of Sagar Maharaj. So that's the history of Ganga. And if you go to Ganga at Rishikesh, Haridwar, really powerful current, you can't exactly step in unless, even if you're a best swimmer, sambhal ke rehna. So that's Ganga. Gomukh is a little up above Gangotri. Gomukh, the face of the cow, it is said. So they are all important spots in the Himalayan regions among the Char Dham. Yamunotri is the origin of Yamuna. Yamuna originates there. Again, some stories are connected to Yamuna, how she appeared. And there are many important places, Yamunotri temple, Divyashila, Surya Kund. One interesting thing about this Char Dham, although the whole Himalaya is snow-capped, there are miraculous things. There are some kund. They are called Tapta Kund. Almost boiling water inside. You can't stay there for more than 5 seconds. It will burn you. How it is happening, how they exist, you have no idea. Actually, I have no idea. Everything is snow. यहाँ पे open में Tapta Kund, boiling water. See, this is the nature's creation, God's creation. How everything is like kind of nicely balanced. You should visit all these places. Very nice. Okay, next. Jyotirlinga. How many of you visited any Jyotirlinga here? Which one? Nasika, Trimbakeshwar. Yes, Mother. Huh? Somnath. Trimbakeshwar. Mallika, Omkareshwar? Mahakaleshwar, anyone? कौन सा वाला? काशी विश्वनाथ. Yeah. So these are 12 Jyotirlingas: Somnath, Mallikarjun, Mahakaleshwar, Omkareshwar, Vaidyanath, Nageshwar. In Gujarat again, Kedareshwar, Trimbakeshwar, Rameshwar. Rameshwar, anyone visited? Yeah, Rameshwar. There are 22 wells there. You have to take a bath in every. भीमा शंकर पास में ही है, कोई गया नहीं भीमा शंकर? हाँ, करजत के ऊपर. We once went 4 hours का trekking है वो. Of course, there is a गाड़ी भी जा सकता है पुणे के वहाँ से. Okay, so these are 12 Jyotirlingas. So what are Jyotirlingas? Very important places for Shiva worshippers especially. And it is Shivji ke very powerful, where you can actually invoke the full blessings of Lord Shiva. And Shiva plays a crucial role in the deliverance of a living entity beyond the material world. The Brahma Samhita describes how Shiva, Lord Vishnu and Lord Shiva's intimate connection. They play very hand in hand. It's a big nice team between Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu and Brahma also. So worship of Shiva at these places will grant you your desires, fulfillment of your desires quickly, especially the desire for liberation. By the way, we should be praying for the right thing when we go to these places. If we ask some cheap things, then we may have to regret later. Let us not waste the opportunity of praying at these places by asking some petty things. Let us ask for the right thing. Any temple, any holy place you go, let us understand what these people are meant to award us, why they are existing there. If you ask for some petty material things, we may get it, but then it's like wasting the opportunity. You go to a Karodpati and you ask 10 rupees dene mere bhai. It's like wastage of resources. These people grant us benedictions, the highest benediction, Lord Shiva and Brahma and Vishnu. Let us ask for those things from them. And that is not selfish. That is the That is a real welfare thing we can do to ourselves. Swartha. Okay, Shakti Peeth. Durga Devis. 51 Shakti Peeths are there. Very important location for Durga worshippers. Located scattered all over India, Nepal, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Himalayas, Kanyakumari, one of the Shakti Peeths. Vaishno Devi, Kali Ghat, all these temples are there. So what is the story behind Shakti Peeth? The Srimad Bhagavatam describes an episode called Daksha Yagya, in the 4th canto, where Daksha Prajapati, his daughter was Sati, who had married Lord Shiva. But somehow Daksha had an enmity with Shivji. Although he was grandson, son-in-law, but somehow he didn't like Shiva. Shiva ka appearance, pura smashan ka appearance and ashes. So Daksha couldn't appreciate Shivji's greatness, glories. And he thought, I am something better. And he's my son-in-law anyway, my inferior, my junior. He just couldn't appreciate Shivji's glories. But his daughter was married, so kind of he couldn't break the connection completely. So one time, his daughter Sati wanted to visit some function at her father's place. But Shivji said, look, I would suggest you don't go. Because if you go, you will be humiliated. Because your father doesn't respect me, appreciate me, he is going to disrespect you also. So better you avoid. I suggest you don't go. But Sati typically, my father, my family, main ko jana hai. Kind of she decided to go anyway. So Shivji didn't stop. But theek hai. But Shivji expected. Lord Shiva knew kuch to serious hone wala hai. So he sent some of his close associates to just make sure nothing untoward happens. Sati went there, reached the place, and her mother and Sesha nicely welcomed her, and all those pleasantries they exchanged. Except one person. Who was that? Daksha. Daksha ignored her completely. Just didn't pay any attention to her. And she was wondering why. And then she realized, because of my Shivji's connection, my father is insulting me. And she tolerated, but ultimately she decided, I cannot tolerate this anymore. I will burn my body, sacrifice my body, because this body is awarded by this person who doesn't respect my husband. I don't want this body. I don't want to have any connection with Daksha. So she generated fire from within through a yogic procedure, and she burnt her body to ashes. So it is said that these ashes were scattered. Yeah. Okay. These ashes were scattered in these places. Lord Vishnu, it seems, instructed that let these ashes get scattered all over the earth. So that place will become very potent by Durga, Sati's power. And anyone who wants to have the blessings of Sati, Durga, Parvati, should go to these places. Generally, people worship the Parvati for a good husband or wife. Shivji and Parvati ko worship karte for husband and wife. A good marital relationship, because they are the ideal couple. So if you worship them, it is hoped that our married life will be happy and peaceful. So that way, these Shakti Peeths are important places for followers of Vedic culture, Sanatandharma. Yes, madam.
The Pita of Sati had he was a son of किसके थे? I'm so sorry.
Brahma.
Brahma. He had a 5th head, right? When Shivji comes and removes the head of that anger and garv, so that time the Pita of Sati was like he hit my father because of 5th head. He is very rude. He is very superior. He is thinking that he is very strong, and he worships for Shakti to come. Is this story relatable, or this is the wrong part of story?
I am not sure. I haven't heard this story, but it is likely that there are multiple versions of the story, because at different times the same event, some events get repeated.
Because
so in that
now
sense,
I'm reading a book and the sculptures are like that. He tub and he said to Sati that be my daughter, I want you as my daughter, and it was just a revenge from Shiv. And when the process comes in the uh, existence, that time he was like, you, I just want to hit you, I have scratched the thing which is important, so I am superior. He was saying that I am superior than you. Because of that, I just have the question.
Okay, okay. I'm not very sure. We need to check the reference. Some other Puranic stories could be there in that connection. Okay, let's move ahead. Shakti Peter is done. Haridwar. Anyone visited Haridwar? Har Ki Pauri and the location of Kumbh Mela. Haridwar is also known as gateway to Badrinath. Also known as Ganga Dwar, Swarga Dwar, gateway to Swarga. If anyone wants to go to Swarga. On the bank of the Ganga, Himalayan foothills, Delhi ka distance diya hai. Kapil Muni's penance, Maitreya's teaching happened there. Maitreya Vidur Samvad, the Bhagavatam describes the discussion between Maitreya and Vidura. That Samvad happened in Haridwar. Ganga splits into 7 streams. That also I think you can see that. I don't know whether you can see it even now. What else? Kumbh Mela happens there every 12 years. Out of the 4 places, Haridwar, Allahabad, Prayag, Nasik and Ujjain. Out of these 4 places, Kumbh Mela happens in Haridwar every 12 years. Mahakumbh happens in Prayag, Allahabad. So Har Ki Pauri is a spot within the Ganga in Haridwar where the main site of Kumbh Mela happens. So that is about Haridwar. Very nice place. Now of course, a lot of industrialization happened. All acres and acres of agricultural land have been converted into industries. All these Honda car and many other cycle and motorbike automobile plants are located in Haridwar. Pharma industries are there, yeah. So, but still, some originality is still preserved there, especially this section of Kumbh Mela section. But overall, Haridwar is a very nice city. Again, Ganga current is very strong there. No, you can't easily enter into the river. Very risky. Rishikesh, very close to Haridwar. It is said Rishikesh, its origin, Vishnu's appearance happened there. There was a sage known as Raibhya Rishi. Therefore, the place is known as Rishikesh. The story of Madhu Kaitava. There were these 2 demons known as Madhu and Kaitava, who long back in the beginning of the creation, they stole Vedic knowledge from Brahma. Now we may say books kahan se aa gaya, kaise churaya. It's like formatting the hard drive only. Brahma ji ka knowledge was like erased completely. These people they were like powerful demons, not like ordinary demons. They stole the knowledge. So Lord Brahma said, how could I manage the creation? So Lord Vishnu comes in the form of, in one form, Hayagriva form, and then he kills Madhu and Kaitava and then retrieves the knowledge and hands it back to Lord Brahma. So Vedas are restored in this way. So therefore Lord Vishnu is known as Madhusudan, one who killed Madhu. Even Krishna is known as Madhusudan oftentimes. Okay, so that is about Rishikesh. Rishikesh is now famous for so many yoga centers happening there. So many Westerners come there wanting to know about Indian spiritual culture. So many yoga ashrams, so many gurus, and so many teachers, very accomplished teachers have opened their yoga ashrams, and very potent place, very conducive. The ambience itself is so conducive for spiritual practice. We get automatically inspired. Kuch to spiritual, something, let me focus on something higher. That inspiration will automatically come in these places. Unlike in Bombay, where you see only high-rise buildings and garbage. Ayodhya. Anyone visited Ayodhya? Good. Ayodhya, let us not remember all the wrong things. So Ayodhya is remembered nowadays. All the controversies and politically charged atmosphere. So Ayodhya means Ayodhya, that which cannot be conquered in battle. Yuddha means battle. जो युद्ध में जीत नहीं सकता है, that is Ayodhya. Unconquerable city. There is also a king named Ayodh, after which the city is known as Ayodhya. So Ayodhya is the capital city of Raghuvamsha, Lord Ramchandra's dynasty. King Dasharath ruled the land for several centuries. And then Lord Ram came, he continued ruling for several thousand years. In this way, the Raghu dynasty, descending from King Ikshwaku. So there are these two dynasties, Kshatriya dynasties, existing at any time. One descending from the Surya Dev, sun god, another descending from moon god, Chandra. They are called the Surya Vamsha and Chandra Vamsha. These two dynasties, Kshatriya dynasties, exist all the times, except for a brief period during Kali Yuga, which is the current period that we are going through. These dynasties continued till even a few years into the Kali Yuga. Then the kings become corrupt, exploitative, and the dynasty ends. And the dynasty will be revived again when the Kali Yuga gets over and the new Satya Yuga starts. Lord Kalki will come at the end of Kali Yuga, and these two kings who are supposed to revive these two dynasties, it is said they are still existing somewhere, hidden, incognito. These two will come up, and the new revival of these two dynasties will happen. They will continue the rule into the next Satya Yuga and into the next cycle of yugas. So Raghuvamsha. Lord Ram appeared in Raghu. Raghu is an important king who appeared in Surya dynasty. And in Chandra dynasty, another important king came whose name was Yadu. Yadu and Raghu parallelly. Yadu Vamsha, Krishna is known as Yadu Vamshi, Yadava. Similarly, Raghava, a descendant of Raghu. Okay, that's about Ayodhya. Prayag, earlier known as Allahabad, now it is known as Prayagraj, the king of holy places, it is said. Lord Ram rested here sometime. Lord Chaitanya danced here for some time. Anyway, for those of you who don't know Lord Chaitanya, he is the most recent incarnation of Krishna who appeared 500 years ago. And our parampara, our tradition, ISKCON and the Gaudiyas are followers of Lord Chaitanya's tradition. So Lord Chaitanya appeared 500 years ago, and one of his close associates was known as Rupa Goswami, who he gave a lot of teachings at Prayag. There is a place called Dashashwamedha Ghat in Prayag, on the bank of the river Ganga, and at that spot is a very holy place for us. So that teachings of the entire Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy was imparted to Rupa Goswami at that spot. Again, Prayag is a place of Kumbh Mela. This Kumbh Mela is a worth seeing Kumbh Mela. Especially the Maha Kumbh, if you can visit. The last Maha Kumbh happened in, I think, 2013, which happens once in 144 years. Maha Kumbh. Not the once in 12. 12 into 12, 144 years mein jo hota hai, that happened in 2013. A grand event, the huge land allocated for the Kumbh Mela. Government spends a lot of money, especially this time it was really nice. And so many yogis and sages and all kind of spiritual practitioners, leaders will come there. You get the real color of sanatandharma at that time. This is the largest human gathering ever happening on earth. Millions of people assembling there over a period of how many days? 40 days? 40? Huh? Around a month, yeah. 35, 40 days. That's real something worth watching. And as there is complex organizational management happening. People come from, you don't know which part of the universe they come from. In fact, Prabhupada in one place writes, some people take a dip at Badrinath in the Ganga and they emerge out of Ganga at Prayag. Mystic yogis. They don't walk the earth. They go under subterranean travel. So these are all yogis, and if you look at them, you may feel, okay, 70, 80-year-old maybe. They could be hundreds of years old, staying in the Himalayas, never seen by anyone, anytime. They become visible only during Kumbh Mela. Extremely powerful people with lot of mystic powers. Better be careful while dealing with them. पंगा मत लेना किसी के साथ. And they have, everyone has different ideologies, but then all are united when it comes to Kumbh Mela. That's the beauty of India's sanatandharma. So Triveni Sangam is located at Prayag. All the three rivers converge in Prayag. So they take you, if you tell the boat wala to take from the bank a few minutes boat ride, and then the spot where both the rivers. Now you can see only Ganga and Yamuna. So that spot you can take a dip. They will help you in taking a dip. And then that's the perfection of bathing. All three rivers ka benefit you get there. Okay, next. We have few more minutes. Tirupati, how many of you have visited Tirupati? No one has missed. Majority. You are from Tirupati, Andhra? Okay. So Tirupati, millions of people visiting. It's an amazing place. You cannot not believe in God if you go to Tirupati. You have the die-hard atheist will also become a believer if you go to Tirupati. All kinds of miracles happen. Of course, in every place there are miracles happening. So Tirupati, renowned pilgrimage site in Andhra Pradesh, famous temple Venkateshwara Tirumala Balaji temple, dedicated to Lord Venkateshwara, the Lord of 7 hills. There are 7 hills in Tirupati upon which Balaji is situated. Footfall, millions of pilgrims annually. Laddu Prasadam, famous laddus, the huge big laddus. Many have tried replicating it, but unsuccessful, many of them. Our ISKCON Pune, we have an ISKCON Pune temple, NVCC. There's a Balaji there. They are quite successful in replicating. It's almost like the original Tirupati laddu. Stunning scenery, beautiful sceneries, the 7 hills ka scenery. Nowadays, unfortunately, a lot of mining and other things are happening. For deforestation is happening. So that's unfortunate thing about that. This is a major center for Sri Vaishnavas. Who are these Sri Vaishnavas? Sri Vaishnavas are followers of Ramanuja, a very powerful saint who appeared in the 11th century in South India, Sri Rangam, Tamil Nadu. And he established 108 Divya Deshams, divine places of Lord Vishnu, all over India. One in Nepal is also there. Yeah. So, Divya Desham, so Tirupati, Kanchipuram and Sri Rangam, these are like the main centers of Sri Vaishnavas. And Ramanuja was very active in all 3 places. So, lot of activities he did, lot of preaching he did, lot of conversions he did. Not like a typical, not the conversion that we understand by the term, but actual preaching and preaching the philosophy and teachings. Lord Chaitanya visited Tirupati and Sri Rangam. And he danced there, did Sankirtan. Yeah. Tirupati Kolhapur connection is there. So there's a story of Bhrigu Muni. Bhrigu was a powerful sage, Lord Brahma's son, I think, or maybe grandson. Bhrigu Muni was told to test the 3 main devatas, Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva. Of course, it was like a kind of drama between them. Brahma and Shiva also knew Bhrigu Muni is going to come and test us. But then they wanted to glorify Vishnu. So they acted in a certain way against their typical nature. So Bhrigu goes to first Brahma. And the test was, who is the superior, supreme among the 3? So Bhrigu thought the test will be, I will insult them. And whoever gets provoked, he is not the supreme. So he goes to Brahma, who happens to be his father. And he just stands there without respecting him. So usually when you go to the father, you bow down, offer pranams and all. He just ignored. So Brahma got angry. So he said something. He felt angry, but he didn't say anything. He controlled himself somehow. But anger was visible on his face. So Bhrigu concluded, Brahma is not the supreme. Then he goes to Shiva. And he does he abuses him. Again, it's all a drama. It's not like he is intending to abuse him. He offends him verbally. So Shiva says, you are my brother, how can you do this? And then he gets angry, about to kill him, takes his Trishul, about to kill him, and Parvati says, no, chhod do yaar, usko, leave him, don't take it seriously. So Bhrigu concludes, this is not Shiva, Shiva is not the supreme. Then he goes to Vishnu, and he does a more graver offense. He kicks him. He kicks Lord Vishnu on his chest. So first was mental offense to Brahma. Lord Shiva was a verbal offense. To Lord Vishnu it was a physical offense, which is increasing the seriousness. So Vishnu, you know what was Vishnu's response? Amazingly, he said, oh my dear Bhrigu, I am so sorry. My chest is so hard. I am so hard-hearted person. I believe your foot must have got injured. Give me your foot. Let me do massage and malish. And I am really sorry. So Bhrigu is like speechless. I committed the gravest offense here, and he is like apologizing to me. And then, but then Lakshmi, she got angry. She said, who is it? Some guy, unknown guy coming here and kicking my husband, and she got really angry. She cursed Bhrigu and said, all these Brahmanas, all your descendants are going to be always poor, poverty stricken. That's why you find Brahmanas always kind of poverty stricken. So then so Lakshmi said, I made a mistake. I stayed here and watched this episode in front of my eyes. I saw you getting offended, and I couldn't do anything. So I think I should do some tapasya and prayashchit. क्या बोलते प्रायश्चित को? Repentance. Yeah, penance. So she came down. She left Vaikuntha, she came down, and she came to a place called Kolhapur. How many of you gone to Kolhapur? Mahalakshmi? Yeah. So Mahalakshmi is that Lakshmi who came out of getting offended by the Bhrigu Muni's kicking of Lord Vishnu. So now Lord Vishnu is alone there. He needs company, right? He's getting bored there. So he said, okay, let me now search out. Where is my wife Lakshmi? So he comes to earth and is searching, and finally he settles down at Tirupati, which is not very far from Kolhapur. In our terms it is very far, but unke liye is like a few steps. So Tirupati Balaji establishes himself in Tirupati. And then that's how the meeting happened, and then eventually they patched up. Padmavati came to Balaji at Tirupati. So that's the history behind the story Tirupati, why Balaji came down from spiritual world and took his position in Tirupati. Correct. Still not repaid completely. Yeah, thank you for adding that point. So there's a train between Tirupati and Kolhapur. And the Indian Railways, actually, they asked for a survey. They did a survey asking for a name for this train. Some name has to be given, right? So one of our devotees suggested Haripriya, Lord Vishnu's Priya. And they accepted that name. It's called Haripriya Express. It's still there, running between Tirupati and Kolhapur. So that's Tirupati. Okay, we'll go a little fast. About to finish. Next is Vrindavan. One of the most important holy places for Vaishnavas, especially ISKCON followers. You will always find some ISKCON devotees hanging around in Vrindavan. Even Chowpatty devotees hanging around in Vrindavan all the time, throughout the year. So, associated with Lord Krishna's childhood, birth activities, initial childhood activities. After taking birth in Mathura, he was shifted to Vrindavan and exchanged with a girl there who was brought back, who became Durga eventually. So Krishna spent his initial 11 years approximately in Vrindavan. All the Bal Leela, the most enchanting, captivating Bal Leelas happened in Vrindavan. The Damodar Leela, especially Govardhan Leela, all happened in Vrindavan. Many famous temples, currently modern temples, Radha Krishna temples, especially for us, there are 7 main temples, the Goswami temples we call them. established by the 7 Goswamis, Rup Sanatan Goswamis, which we make a point to visit all the time. And there are other temples, Banki Bihari, Prem Mandir is there. There is a Ranganath temple in in Vrindavan, like the original Ranganath. 5,000 temples are there, small and big, all over, spread across all over Vrindavan area, Vrindavan Rajamandal area. Every time in every temple you will find Mangalartis happening, 4:30, 5 o'clock early morning. You will constantly hear the ringing of the bells, mantra chanting, offering of lamps. It's a really vibrant place. And people also will address you Radhe Radhe, Hare Krishna. Even if you find some Brajvasis here in India, in Bombay, they will call you Radhe Radhe. Yeah, Nidhivan. There's a place called Nidhivan, yeah. It's meant for highly evolved, devotionally evolved people. So they say, I mean, I have not gone there inside. They say if you go there, then these people who are devotionally evolved, advanced, they can actually witness Radha Krishna activities, pastimes there. But if an unqualified person goes there, he will go crazy. So you need a kind of eligibility to enter that region. And if you just barge into that place, then you may not remain normal. That's why it is recommended you don't enter that place. Maybe I think daytime they allow, but nighttime especially, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Correct. Correct, yeah. Yeah, yeah. mystical place, yeah. And the famous Yamuna river, Govardhan is there. Some of our devotees recently in this Adhik Mas, they did a parikrama, Dandavat parikrama. Just by obeisances they did parikrama. It took around 20 days to finish that entire stretch of 21 kilometers. So it's a really mystical place. All kinds of mystics stay there. Again, we should never commit the mistake of judging them externally, because you don't know what kind of powers they have, what kind of evolved people they are. They may have long jatas and all kinds of apparently horrible looking features, but you never know what's their connection with Krishna. So better be careful. Nowadays Vrindavan has become highly commercial, unfortunately, but still the potency remains. It has become high-rise buildings and all kinds of malls and other things, shops are appearing there, springing up everywhere. But still, Yamuna, Govardhan, these are the places to be visited. And so many kunds and lakes, hundreds of kunds, everywhere you will find. Now, the UP government is really doing a nice job by maintaining them nicely, renovating them, creating nice parks and spots to sit there. So, ISKCON temple is there, our one of the main 3 primary centers within India. One of them is Vrindavan, the other 2 are one in Mumbai, Juhuwala, and one in Mayapur, the main spiritual headquarters of ISKCON activities. Lord Chaitanya spent a lot of time there. His immediate associates, the 6 Goswamis, in fact they compiled the main literatures while they were staying in Vrindavan. So the lot of Bengal Vrindavan connection also you will find there in Vrindavan. That's about Vrindavan. Govardhan Parikrama you should do if you have not done. The entire stretch, lot of holy spots. Krishna lifted the Govardhan Parvat when he was a 7-year-old boy and protected all the Vrajavasis from the heavy rains sent by Indra. So that's considered very sacred activity. And then Mayapur finally, the headquarters of ISKCON organization, spiritual headquarters of ISKCON. The official headquarters is Juhu, Mumbai, but ISKCON spiritual headquarters is ISKCON Mayapur. We have annual Gaur Purnima festival, coincides with Holi in March, around March. That's when Lord Chaitanya was born, appeared in this world. And that's the capital of the Sankirtan movement. The congregational chanting of Krishna's holy names, coming together and chanting, that's origin. The seed capital is Mayapur. And now recently a new temple is coming up, the temple of the Vedic planetarium, which we hope will be ready by next year, 2024. It is supposed to be ready by 2020 or 19. When COVID ke karan, it got delayed. So hopefully by next year it should be ready. It's a temple of Vedic planetarium. I mean, it shows the entire universal structure as described in the Srimad Bhagavatam. The cosmology of the universe, as given in the Bhagavatam and the Puranas, that's kind of a chandelier built within the main dome of the temple. Located in the Ganga, very peaceful Ganga there. Compared to Haridwar and Rishikesh, this form of Ganga is very peaceful. Okay, so that's about Mayapur. What else is there? Yeah, that's all for today. So it's 8 o'clock. And there are many other holy places we haven't covered. We have hardly covered anything. Dwarka, Rameshwaram, and South India, there are so many. Udupi, Sri Krishna Temple, Padmanabha Swami, Guruvayur, Jagannath Puri is there. Everywhere you go, any part of India, even in Assam, Manipur, Arunachal, there are a lot of important places if one can visit. So whenever we go to any holy place, there is something called as it's called Dham. Dham is a place where it is surcharged with spiritual potency. We shouldn't go to a Dham just like a tourist, ये देखना है, वो देखना है, selfies click करना है. Nothing wrong in that. But that's not the purpose of visiting a Dham. That we do anyway, everywhere. But Dham is spiritually surcharged place that can award us spiritual perfection, spiritual liberation. So if we don't take advantage of Dham in this mood, then we are missing the purpose of visiting the Dham. So we shouldn't judge the place by its externals, although you may find some garbage and sewage and all kinds of nonsensical activities happening there. People also, you may not find every person staying in the Dham is like spiritually evolved. And we may start passing remarks about them. Let us visit the Dham, take advantage of it, not judge anyone. Places or the people and the activities there, and just pray for spiritual blessings. And that's how we can best take advantage. And once in a year at least, if we can make it a point to visit some holy place, then that's a very good practice. That's a very good sadhana we can incorporate into our daily life. So thank you so much. It's 8:05 and I appreciate your patience and cooperation and your questions.